AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Stocks got a big boost after some reports on the economy came in better than expected. The government reported inflation at the wholesale level slowed last month. The Dow Jones Industrials finished up 408 points. The U.S. has approved $20 billion in weapons sales to Israel. Tensions have been rising over the possibility of an attack by Iran against Israel. But the weapons are not expected to get to Israel anytime soon. There are contracts that will take years to fulfill. What is being sold is to help Israel increase its military capability in the long term. Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance has questioned the military service of Democratic presidential candidate Tim Walz. Today in Los Angeles, Walz responded.
You should never denigrate another person's service record. To anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
Missouri voters will decide in November whether to guarantee a right to an abortion with a constitutional amendment that would reverse the state's near total abortion ban. President Biden is zeroing in on policy goals closest to his heart now that he's not running for a second term. He's in New Orleans to promote his administration's Moonshot Initiative, aimed at dramatically reducing cancer deaths. Ford and Mazda are warning the owners of more than 475,000 older vehicles not to drive them. They have dangerous Takata airbag inflators that have not been replaced. The AP's Tom Krischer is in Detroit.
There have been 27 deaths in the United States thus far and about 35 worldwide, and another 400 people in the U.S. have been hurt.
Owners can check to see if their vehicles are covered at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's website. Hundreds of people were allowed to return to their homes today after being forced to flee a wildfire west of Reno that also shut down Interstate 80 along the California-Nevada line. This is AP News. A big coffee company has a new CEO.
Struggling with fading sales and disgruntled investors, Starbucks announced it's replacing CEO Lachman Narasimhan with Brian Niccol, who's the chairman and CEO of Chipotle. Narasimhan, who spent a little more than a year leading Starbucks, will step down immediately, with Niccol stepping in just under a month. Starbucks has been dealing with multiple issues, including inroads by lower-cost competitors in China. I'm Shelley Adler.
Google is unveiling the next generation of Pixel phones, giving the maker of Android software a head start on the next iPhone in the race to bring more artificial intelligence services to devices. Pixel still represents the maker of Android software smartphone sales, but they serve as Google's platform for the latest advances in Android systems that power virtually every phone not made by Apple. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
Alpha Dade's on Tiro, and for the Saipan Paddling Club, it's time to row their boat for the 2024 Micro Cup. And you can get on board with their raffle fundraiser on Saturday, August 24th. Tickets are just $1, and the grand prize is $200. All proceeds go to get the paddlers to the Micro Cup and help get them uniforms so they represent the CNMI in style. So support your local paddlers and buy a bunch of raffle tickets for your chance to win the $200 grand prize. Just go to the Saipan Paddling Club Facebook page for more information. That's the Saipan Paddling Club raffle fundraiser on Saturday, August 24th at 3 p.m. Don't be a drip. Help with their trip. Good morning, Marianas. It is Wednesday. It is 7:15. It is time for you to get your butt out of bed and get ready for work. Get in that car, get in that news van, get on that scooter, get on that e-bike, whatever you got, you get out there. You go get that breathe in that fresh air. You get to the office. You get to the store. You get to wherever you got to get to. You go take care of your mom. Whatever it is. This is your day. 7:15, 84 degrees here in sunny Saipan. It is sunny Saipan today. That's a great way to start it off, I'll tell you that. Scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout today. Partly sunny skies with a high near 88. South-southeast winds from 9 to 14 miles per hour with a 40% chance of rain. So enjoy the sun while you can. If you think that's a good weather report, just wait, because in 30 minutes, we're going to have Mr. Weather himself, Landon Aidlet, is going to be coming. That's right. He finally climbed down off of the Empire State Building, him and his brother, that they built at the Micronesia Mall. And that was a record-breaking experience. They even built it taller than they thought it was going to be. That is just wild. It kind of sounds like the Oppenheimer thing, right? They weren't sure that they were going to make it that big. And I'm telling you, it was really cool. So we're going to have Landon in here. He's going to give us our weather outlook for everything that's coming our way in the Marianas for the next week or so. And looking forward to having him in. Anytime that we get the guys from National Weather Service, it's just the greatest. So they're going to come in here at 7:45. They're not in studio. Don't get excited. But they are going to be on the phone, just like we've done since we got together like 3 weeks ago now. So it's a regular feature where they send us all the stuff. We're not special. Everybody gets that. But we put it out there for you. And then, but we do get something special where they get to come on the weather, on the show with us and talk about the weather and what's really coming. They're also going to talk to us a little bit about their Tower for Humanity project that they just wrapped up last week. And man, I got to get like a little bit of a preview of what they've got coming up in October. And if that's going the way I think it's going, we are going to go to Guam and be there in the Micronesia Mall to shoot that video and broadcast from there. The show, a special Take the Show to Guam week, just because I think it's pretty cool, and I'd like to be there for it. We could still effectively do our whole show, and if this ends up happening, I invite the people of the CNMI who are living in Guam, or if you're just traveling there, maybe you're there for medical referral, please come on down and visit us. We absolutely love to have you. Be on the show, like there at the mall. I mean, you're going to go shopping anyway, right? I mean, you're going to end up going to Ross or something. So come check us out, and we'll have a table, we'll have the chairs and all that stuff. We'll have it all set up way before we even get there. But it'll be a big hit, and we'll try and get a whole bunch of VIPs from Guam to come on in there, and that'd be pretty cool. So that's what we're looking at. But that's not till October. We're still in August. We still got a whole September going on. School's just about to start for the CNMI public schools, and holy cow, people are bracing for what that's going to mean for traffic. You know, you forget how good it is over the summer. And then when school starts again, oh my gosh, when school starts again, that's one of the extra benefits of doing this. Doing this means that I can get here before traffic goes in the morning. No kidding. It doesn't matter what vehicle you're driving, where you're going, what village you live in, you're going to get in some kind of traffic with a school bus. Not with this job. I'll tell you, not by doing this. This really gives me the ability to do that. So they're all teaming up to try to figure out all this stuff. PSS, DPS, Public Works, all trying to ease this traffic jam. And you know what? A big thing down here is going to be a little crazy too because of all this road work that we got going on down here. I know it seems like it's never ending. I mean, like they're going to have to make a new part of our CNMI flag that has the traffic cones because that's where we're at right now. They're going to have to replace the laddie with the traffic cone. We've had so much road work going on for the last 2 years. And, you know, the end is in sight. But we're just not there yet. And I know that my kids' school, they've got issues with traffic. And DPS came out to talk to them, too. This is just it. So school's back in session for the private schools. Public schools are going to start now. Guam, I don't know, so maybe sometime in 2024 you guys will be able to get your schools going. Not fair. The kids are the ones who suffer the most out of all that stuff. I don't know if you guys are following this, but there's a number of schools that failed their inspections, not able to open in time in Guam. And I mean, hey, we even got the snot beat out of us by typhoons, and we had kids in tents, and we still had school. So maybe they should call CNMI and say, hey, how can we make this work? Just saying. We might be able to lend a hand. Peeling says, Brad, looks like majority of the coming elections are independent candidates. What in ARPA funds is going on? Oh, man. I don't know. There are a lot of candidates who are independent for sure. But I think that says a lot about the power of the parties or lack of, or maybe people's lack of faith in the parties. Now, I don't want to swing anybody too far on that rope there because it's an interesting thing. the party system that we got here in the CNMI is different because I know we have Republicans, we have Democrats, we have independents, right? But one, let's just start at the basic level. The Republicans here, even though they're officially aligned with the Republicans in the mainland, they're not all in on all the GOP stuff. And a lot of the Democrats here are in for a lot of the stuff, for some of the GOP stuff here too. But then the Democrats here won't really appreciate it, I don't think. But I don't think they're as well organized. They're definitely not as well organized as the GOP here. At least the GOP here has got it's been around longer. It's got a stronger nucleus, and their planning's better, their preparation's better, their organization is better, and all that stuff. That's just party stuff. That's not candidate stuff. When it comes to the candidates, though, it's really interesting because it doesn't seem like there's a ton of candidates. In fact, since you brought it up, I've got a nice little slide over here called candidates. Woo. Now, these things are going to go on their own, so it'll be like a rotating thing where you get to look at all the different candidates. But, I mean, look at that. All independents for Precinct 2, right? All of them. Precinct 3, you got a mixed bag, but you know what you don't see? It's going by a little fast. Hold on. Here's something I can do for this. Candidates, I can pause it. Boom. And let me go back a couple. All right. So here's Precinct 3, right? Precinct 3, independent, Democrat, independent, Democrat, independent. Wow. And those independent and Democrat folks are all working together, right? So let's see what Precinct 4 has. Precinct 4, independent. Republican, you got one. There's another one coming too. Malcolm Omar is an independent. Then Rosa Rios is a Republican. And then Cecilia Taitano is an independent. I thought she was a Republican before. Am I wrong? I thought she was a Republican before. But anyway, so there's only 2 seats in Precinct 4. 2 of them are GOP. This goes all to your points here, Peeling. And there's 3 seats open or 2 seats open for Precinct 5. And it's TJ Magnolia, who was a GOP, now is independent. Angelo Camacho, independent. And Melvin Faisal. Melvin Faisal, he's been around. But I never thought of him as a Precinct 5 guy. I thought of him as more of a Precinct 3 guy. But either way, that's who's got. So just not a whole lot of Republican candidates. Of course, Tinian. I mean, no brainer. And then they are not fielding one in Rhoda either. A couple of independents. Your incumbent, Julie Ogo. Senate. We already blew through the Senate. We'll get there. Lot of nonpartisan folks for the municipal council. I guess, does that mean you're not able to be partisan for municipal council? Maybe that's why they're all nonpartisan. So I imagine they would have folks in there. And there's no real partisan stuff when it comes to the Board of Education. I don't know how many seats are available for the board this year, but it's an interesting group. Anthony Barcinas in Rhoda, Martin Atta in Saipan, Greg Borja in Saipan, ASAP. Really? No. Then we got Juan Tenorio, Mazie Tenorio going forward again, too. And we'll get back over there to the Senate, but Precinct 1. Now, Precinct 1, I know they got Republicans for sure, right? Roy Atta, he's in there already. Vincent Cobre Aldana, independent, Democrat, independent, Republican, and that's Benusto Pitig. How are seats per precinct determined? And here's your question, or that's your question. Answer is by population. That's how. It's all based on population. So it's just like the U.S., where it's the House of Representatives. That's the representative base based on the population for those precincts. And the Senate is not based on population. It's based on just equity for each of the islands. And that's the great leveler, right? So to balance it out, you've got the House of Representatives and the Senate. Representatives based on what the population is. I don't know the actual calculation, but I bet we could look it up real quick to find out how many thousands of people count for one representative. And then because there's only one for Tinian and only one for Rhoda. Now, if we only had a unicameral legislature, then Rhoda and Tinian would be kind of in the shadow of Saipan. But because we have a bicameral, that's where they get even footing. And that's where they can work together to really work stuff out. Let me see how that works, though. I am curious. I don't know what the calculation is. So I do know that in order to get to become an official senatorial district, you need to have 1,000 voters. And it might not be voters. It might just be 1,000 people. Because that's what Larry Hillblum was trying to do. He was trying to get Pagan to become a senatorial district. And by getting 1,000 people to move up there, and then wield some real power in the government, because they would get 3 senatorial seats. Even if they only got 1 member of the representatives, they would have an official seat at the table. And wouldn't that be something? That's wild. How different would the scene might be then? So, well, let's get back into that. Let's get back into that question, though. Peeling. Something fishy's going on. Very hard to smell what kind of fish is being cooked. Yeah, well, I mean, I'll tell you what. It's interesting to see how many people are coming out. Do we have the Senate on here? I know they do. There we go. That's for Senate. So there's only 1 seat that's open in Saipan, in Tinian, and Rhoda this time. Next time, it'll be 2 seats for each. So this time, the seat that's up for grabs for Saipan is Senate President Edith De Leon Guerrero. Manny Castro is current representative. He's going to run against her, along with Luis Sablan. He's an independent. Tinian running unopposed. Carl King Neighbors, Republican. He's going to win it again. In Rhoda, Paul Manglona is the independent. He's been running pretty much since they had Senate seats. That's not exactly true, but he's been around as long as you can. Ronnie Calvo is an independent. He's running in Rhoda also. So that's what's going on over there. Then I think it just goes over to our big 5 candidates. By the way, hey, good morning, Luisa. Thanks for tuning in. Speaking of the candidates, I was at the Department of Public Lands yesterday. You may have seen the stream that we did to see the protest gathering by the marine sports operators from Managaha. And they, of course, are not exactly happy with the proposed rule changes that would affect them, essentially, according to their legal counsel, putting them out of business. It would put them out of business and have a bigger impact. And we'll get into that later because I've got more to talk about for that one. But to bring it back to it, while we were there, we were there for a good long time, really. Hey, Freddie, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. So while we were there, I bumped into one of our friends, Fabian, in DeLay Show. Man, that guy, he cracks me up every time. He's hilarious. And that laugh is infectious. If you don't want to laugh when you hear Fabian's laugh, oh, man, I mean, it's like just joyful. I love that guy's laugh. And he's one of these guys that I'm going to become better friends with. I'm going to get to know him a lot better. I really want to go. He's offered it like multiple occasions for me to come over and check out this museum that he's got set up over there. And I haven't taken him up on it yet. I'm missing out. I really need to call him. But I bring him up because while he was there, he's like, hey, he was talking to Liana Hofschneider, and he said that she was on her way, but she was going to be about like 10 minutes out or anything. No, it was over. Like everybody was leaving, and I was melting under the sun. I mean, like after Ann told me I was looking pretty pale, I'm like, all right, I got to stay outside a little bit. They're like, Brad, get in the shade. I'm like, no, Ann told me I'm getting pale. I need to hang out here a little bit more. So, but, and I definitely got some sun. But I couldn't stay for that extra 10 minutes. But it's good that she was going to come out there because she's really interested. So I told her, I'm like, hey, have her call the show so we could talk to her about it and hear more about, what she's got to say. We have also sent a message out to her on Facebook Messenger, and I know it shows that she read it. Just to invite her to the show so that she can come in and talk about her platform and what she wants to do and what the position means to her. Just give the same opportunity that we gave to Jim Rayfan, Ed Probst, Kim Hines, and John Gonzalez. I mean, we had everybody else in here. We want to have her in here too. Now, I know that she didn't make it to the Mariana Segupa on over the weekend, but this weekend is going to be the Saipan Professional Journalist Forum. Now, this is going to be, it's not going to be a debate, right? It's not like where there's a big crowd of people and then they're going to argue back and forth, but they will be able to respond to each other. And we're going to do this in the studios over there at KSPN, and that'll start, you can see it right there. It's going to be 1 o'clock on Saturday, and it's like a Avengers, the Marvel, all the reporters getting together to put this thing on. It's all volunteer stuff. These are all journalists here putting this together, reaching out to them. So if you haven't already found the Society for Professional Journalists, you can find it right there. I'm going to I'll also post it on our page too while we do it, which will be great. And so you're going to be able to see it, no problem, and you'll be able to look at it. We've got confirmation that they're all going to be there, so that'll be great. So even if we're not able to get them in, if I'm not able to get Liana in before then, that's okay, because there's a lot of time between now and November, so no problem. But we can actually get back to the what we were just talking about with DPL, and I want to tell you a little bit about the here, let me open that up. And I got to put this thing on here so I can actually pause it. This is the letter that was from the legal counsel, Mark Scoggins. He's the one who actually reached out and told us that they were going to be doing this yesterday. And so thanks to him for giving us a heads up. So here's the letter, and it's a longer one. And this is from him, Mark Scoggins, attorney at law. And when we interviewed him, he said, hey, we took this to court like 12 years ago, and we won. Because they tried to do this 10 years ago, or 12 years ago. And so now they are trying to do this again. In fact, here, can I just send you the whole thing as like a screen? Yeah, here, let's do that. So you guys can see it a little bit bigger than what you're looking at right there. I don't know how big that actually makes it on your screen. But I can definitely do something here to make it a lot easier to see as we scroll through. So let me do the old screen share thing, and we'll walk ourselves through this. And yeah, I'm in there. You don't need to see me here. Hold on 1 second. Share. Not that share, music fans. Okay, let's do this. I'll take myself out of it so you can see a little better. All right, so this is from Mark Scoggins. He delivered this yesterday. The deadline to submit your comments is today. If you want to submit comments to tell the folks at Public Lands how you feel about those proposed rule changes for Managaha, today's the last day you're going to be able to do it. So, all well intentions. Now, there will be a public meeting on Friday as well. But this is if you want to submit your written comments. This is it. So here you go. Department of Public Lands, he was saying that how his office represents 6 of the tourism companies. He said there's over 20 of them, but he's actually the legal representation for them. And if you saw the folks yesterday, you know it's more than 6 companies involved. When we interviewed him, he said that there were rules in place, for over 30 years, and saying, why would you change them? Why would you change them and essentially, kill our local businesses? Well, let's get into it a little bit. So, as you know, the regulations as they currently exist have been in place since '92, except for a brief period in 2012 when DPL attempted to change the rules on behalf of a previous concessionaire. The rules have always allowed the marine sports operators to pick up and drop off their customers on Managaha and conduct their recreation activities. This is important. This is an important industry. Sorry, I can't read. This important industry has built up over the course of more than 30 years, and DPL now intends to kill it, and with it, many local jobs, because its current concessionaire did not understand the scope of the concession's exclusivity before they bid on the concession. Recent history has shown us on Saipan what happens when the government decides to give a big company whatever it wants. Everyone else loses, including the CNMI government. The Attorney General states that the operators have not read the new regulations carefully enough and that the new regulations will not pull the smaller companies out of business. In reality, however, only sub-concessionaires approved by DPL and the main concessionaire will be allowed to conduct business. This has been tried before, and it did not work because it was not economically feasible for the companies who tried to contract with the previous concessionaire. Also, there is simply no way that DPL and the concessionaire will approve all companies who might want to participate. So here's their comments about the rule changes. All right, so Rule 1, the proposed rules are not within DPL's constitutional and statutory authority. DPL claims the authority to amend the relevant rules and regulations under the CNMI Constitution. While DPL has the authority to manage public lands, it does not have the authority to regulate control over the water sports tourism industries. Now, that's an interesting one because that's what Mark was talking about yesterday when we had him, when we interviewed him. He said, look, here's one of the big sticking points on this. They sell packages on Saipan, the marine sports operators. And those packages go something like this. We'll pick you up at the beach. We'll take you out on a banana boat, a parasail, whatever, and then we'll drop you off at Managaha. And when you're done with Managaha, we'll pick you up and take you home. Pretty easy, right? Or they'll say, we'll take you to Managaha, and then we'll pick you up, and we'll do all the fun stuff, and then we'll drop you off back where we picked you up. Not a big deal, right? Well, according to Scoggins, that's not how Marianas Global wants that to work. He said, hey, you can bring people to Managaha and drop them and pick them up from Managaha, but you can't do water sports in between. Like, does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It doesn't make any sense. And they're saying that DPL would be the one who would be able to enforce something like that. Again, that doesn't make sense. Now, the concessionaires are not doing this on Managaha. They're not setting up a shop on Managaha trying to lure people or get people to do business with them, to say, hey, you want to go parasailing with us? Let's go. No, apparently that's not what's happening. They're doing all that stuff on Saipan, and they're setting up all those packages on Saipan. And the concessionaire is saying, hey, that's not cool. That's hurting our business. Or that's taking away our opportunity to do some business. Well, geez, that's a tough pull. But what their attorney is saying, hey, they signed a contract. They knew what the rules were. Now let's see if we can't pull that up a little bit. I want to show you that part of the interview that we had with Mark. Well, I'm going to mute this for a second as I fast forward this video to get to him. We interviewed Elsa Duenas Nieto, and here's, okay, let's get him. I think that's just about when we started, but we're just going to click it in here a little bit. And keep in mind, we're waiting because we've got Landon Adlet. He's going to be on the phone here at 7:45. So let's do this. Here we go. We're going to play this for you. Transition over. Pay no attention to the guy with the microphone. Here, let me unmute it.
Yeah, let me just make sure you're in there. Thank you.
All right, that's Mark Scoggins. He is the legal counsel.
Yep, that's perfect.
For 6 of them.
You guys want to stand
Sporting those nice sandals, though. That's what you don't appreciate when I don't have a camera guy. All right, so let's hear what he's got to say.
So, Mark, you're Mark Scoggins, and you're representing the folks, the marine operators?
My office is representing about 6 of the companies that are here today, submitting their written public comment to the new regulation. And this is not the first time that my office has been involved in this issue. We fought a very similar fight 12 years ago, and we won it then, and we intend to win it now.
So what happened 12 years ago?
Well, 12 years ago, it was a very similar situation. The concessionaire at that time decided that they did not like the fact that they were having to have competition from these smaller operators that engage in the marine sports business, and so they put a lot of pressure on DPL to change the rules. And we fought a lawsuit over that, and we won it. And actually, with the help of the late former governor Eloy Enos, he helped us get it resolved once and for all at that time. But here we are again. It's a very similar situation. Apparently, the current concessionaire doesn't like the fact that there are smaller businesses competing with them, but the fact is that the current regulations that are in place have been in place for more than 32 years. And the businesses that we represent here, some of them have been in business for that entire time, if not longer. They've always been around. They've always been allowed to do their business in the exact same manner that they're doing it right now. And that's all we're asking for. We're asking for the rules that have been in place for more than 30 years not to change. DPL is now trying to change those rules for the benefit of its current concessionaire. In some ways, we understand the economy is terrible right now, especially the tourism economy is terrible right now. But the solution to this problem is not to put all these other small operators out of business, and that's what's going to happen if these new regulations go through. We're here trying to protect your neighbors and your family members and your friends who own small businesses, and they employ lots of people in this economy, and they're all struggling too, but we got to get through this together, and we can't be in a situation where we're going to start throwing even more people out of work just to benefit one larger business that has a big voice and wants to complain to the government that they need more benefit.
Can you tell us, maybe highlight a couple of the key things that you are contesting in these proposed changes?
Well, the main thing is that what these companies do is they sell package tours that involve Managaha. So they will pick some tourists up, take them to the dock, take them out to Managaha, drop a few off, take some out to go parasailing, bring those people back to Managaha, take a few more out to go banana boating or something like that. And then at the end of the day, they bring them back. They don't engage in sales activities. They don't engage in commercial activity at all on Managaha. They do their commercial activity here. These proposed regulations, among other things, are going to create a situation where that's not allowed anymore. So what the regulations say and what their effect will be is if you're a company that's engaging in some kind of water sports, you will not be allowed to land your boat on Managaha. DPL is effectively trying to regulate the water sports industry. They don't have that power. They have the power to manage public lands. They do not have the power to tell us what we can and can't do when we're out on the water. And that's what they're trying to do. Another thing that they're trying to do is say that if you bring food, your own food, onto Managaha, you are not allowed to consume that food at the picnic tables. That's always been allowed. It's allowed under the current regulations. It's been allowed for more than 30 years. The entire history of the Managaha concession, that's been allowed. One of the craziest things that they're doing is the new regulation says, this is not a joke, the new regulation says that if you bring personal flotation device onto Managaha, your own life jacket, your own floaty, you will not be able to use that in the designated swimming area. So imagine that. You take your family out there and you have your kids with you and you have their life jackets and they want to swim and they're not allowed to swim in the designated swimming area where it's safer because there's a lifeguard there. And they're only doing this so the current concessionaire can rent or sell more flotation devices themselves.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it at that for right now. We could come back to it for sure because it's a contentious issue. There's a lot going on about it, and there's a lot for us to talk about it for sure. But some of the other stuff that we want to get to today, like we told you, the marine water sports issue with Managaha is going to be going on for a while, and it's going to be something we're going to talk about a bit. In fact, we definitely will come back and talk about it because we've got more to hit to. We're going to take a real quick 30-second break just to split it up real quick, and then we already have him on the line. We're going to have Mr. Weather himself, the meteorologist, the blocketologist. I don't know if that's a real term. But we're going to get to Mr. Landon Alet here in just a second while I talk about, they're talking about building up buildings. Well, you could build up yourself over there at Laddie Built 24-hour fitness down the street in Chalkano. It's the latest equipment, the newest gym. It's got everything you need to get yourself looking all buff and stuff. But it also just make you feel better about yourself. Take a look.
We lead by example, persistence of build. Be the inspiration, they witness approve. We do what we do by the rules in the book. Be a laddie where discipline and vision is built. We lead by example, persistence of build. Be the inspiration, they witness approve. We do what we do by the rules in the book.
All right, and just like that, we are back. How about that? And when it comes to the weather, we all need a hero. And we have that hero. He's on the phone right now. His name is Landon Aylett. He's a meteorologist from the National Weather Service in Guam. Landon, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, we're great. We're great. We are just basking in the glory of the Empire State Building. I know it's not there anymore, though.
Yeah, we had to take it down on Monday, and that was like a quick demolition job. It was about an hour to take it all down. I mean, obviously, we could have done it in about 2 minutes if we wanted to just do a full total collapse. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to protect the floor, the tiles, and also the blocks. We did a kind of a controlled demolition. But it was a 9-hour process to sort and pack the blocks afterwards. So it was a long, long Monday.
Man, you know, you're getting good at building the buildings and taking them down. You know, we got this building in Garapan we can use help disassembling. It's if you guys want to fly up here, I'm sure we would definitely foot the bill.
Maybe that'll be my next Lincoln Log project because I'll build the casino.
That would be great. Hey, it would be one that's finally finished. That'll be historic.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. Well, hey, I know we're going to talk about weather quite a bit here in a minute, but can you walk us through what was that process like building the Empire State Building over there in Micronesia Mall, the folks coming by to check it out, and all the comments you must have been getting?
Yeah, we had so much engagement with not just locals, but also tourists. It was a phenomenal event just all around. That's, again, one thing we took away from our first tower 2 years ago with the Guinness World Records was the amount of community engagement from young people to old people, all just fascinated by it. And so this was our fourth project, and it was my personal favorite by a long shot. It was just such a beautiful, sleek tower. It really came through, and I think it really met my expectations and exceeded them because I had the blueprints all drawn up, all the diagrams and drawings in place, and it just really produced well, came together very well. And so we were following those blueprints to a T, and then we stretched it a little bit in the top to give us a little bit more height to it. So we had 31 feet with the bear and the spire on top of it. And so it was just a phenomenal tower. The lighting from the mall was fantastic, gave it a nice, elegant glow. And we were at the mall on Sunday night for the final evening with the tower after the mall closed. It turned off all the lights in the mall and just lit it up with those LED lights. And so we were there for a couple hours after mall hours and just taking photos and videos. And it was just such a nice experience.
Oh, I bet. I can't imagine what that's like a moment that people just don't get, right? I mean, you're out there at the mall and nobody else is there anymore, and it's got to be it's got to be pretty cool. We're showing that little spliced up video that they made for you over there at Micronesia Mall.
Yeah, the mall did a great job putting out the photos and videos and graphics on almost a daily basis with the progress of the tower, and so that added to the buzz in the community. And let me just tell you what, when we took the tower down, we removed some of the barricades on some sides of it. And it's just this heaping mass of 100,000 logs on the floor. And we finally just opened it up to kids and tourists. And we had so many people getting hands-on with the blocks, building towers. And of course, all the kids to do like Brandon and me did growing up, trying to build as tall as possible. So we had these tourists in Japan and Korea and other places just building stacking logs taller than they were, and they were just all in amazement with it.
Wow, that's great. That's got to be
And
great.
so I can't tell you how many people they said, "Is this free? Can we play up there? And how much does it cost?" I'm like, "This is free. Anybody can get hands on. We want people to have fun. It's free for the community."
That is great, man. I'll tell you what, I love this about people. Like, you get to know people, and there's always different parts about folks that just shows how much more diverse their background is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you would think, okay, he's a meteorologist. Okay, he's covering weather. And then just to see something like this. When did this start, by the way? When did this whole thing start for you?
Well, the tower started on August 1st. So it was an 8-day build, but the Tower for Humanity process, that started in, I guess, it became the Tower for Humanity in mid-2022 with that first tower for the Guinness World Records. And we kept that name, Tower for Humanity, because we wanted to focus on the people of Guam, to bring awareness to a cause and to help people in need. And so this thing has just morphed in its own. And so we have, obviously my brother and me, we're the key elements to it, but we have a team of core folks, some of our closest friends, and it's about 6 of us. We're the tower team. And so we think of these projects and we pinpoint towers and stuff, and we work together to pull in the logistics from communications and graphics and social media posts to watching kids and setting up the playpen for kids to come and get experience with the logs. And so it's really a nice, wholesome effort. And again, it's free to the community to get involved, but with distance from the tower, because we want people to stay safe. But it's a wholesome effort, it's a community effort, and it's really focused on bringing awareness to a cause and helping people in their darkest time, whether it's kids, foster care, or people that don't have food to survive, or low-income housing. And so that was the beginning of the Habitat for Humanity event in 2022. And so there's a lot of things that come from each of these events that we could spend a full-time job just diving into these areas, from contacts via email and social media to fixing a cause. And so every contact we have with our projects, we can go down a whole nother angle, like a tentacle of problem solving and working together in a different area of the community.
Wow. And it's just awesome. I I know we're going to talk weather, but this thing is just fascinating to me. It's the coolest thing. And, I could see if there was something that we could do over here, it would be great. But if there's a way to do something like that and all that support that you got, and I'm looking at all that, you got your tower team, but like the equipment, the boom trucks, is that boom truck that comes in, or that lift, is that from the mall itself?
Yeah, the lifts that we had, they were provided by the mall. And so that was a 45-foot boom lift. They have a brand new 65-foot boom lift, but that was over there in the Macy's atrium. They're still doing repairs from Typhoon Mawar. So they're doing some extensive work in Macy's right now to fix that. Hopefully, we can experience the 65-foot boom lift maybe next year or in 2026 with the new tower. I think the mall is hooked. And we've really made a footprint with this latest tower in the community and with the mall that, we want to go bigger and better.
Hey, I know
I'm going to have to order more blocks at some point.
Yeah, and then you're going to have to take out your own place in the mall to store all those blocks.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm rearranging a bedroom in my house where they've been all stored, and I'm trying to get everything in plastic bins. Out of cardboard and out of that stuff in case of like any kind of termite infestation. I've treated my house inside, outside. I got a contract with a pest inspector to make sure there's no critters in there, but also with typhoons. Every room in my house had water in it, upstairs and downstairs from Typhoon Mawar, except for the Lincoln bedroom. That's what I call the room for storage. Because it was on the lee side of the house. So I was very fortunate, but I'm getting these large racks from Home Depot, and I'm using as much vertical space and keeping everything off the floor. And so far, it's organized, it's much better, and I literally have more space to get more logs.
Wow. You call it the Lincoln bedroom, like just like the White House. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. I love it. You know what? By the way, we talked about it briefly, when we were talking about the project before, but the people who make these things I would imagine that they'd want to jump all over and sponsor something like this. And by the way, you think this would spark some interest with folks out there to do something like this. So I don't know that they are doing it, but man, it certainly seems like they should be all kinds of behind you on it.
Yeah, we get that question a lot of times is, are we going to get Lincoln Log, the company, involved? And we probably won't reach out specifically to Lincoln Log because the bulk of our blocks, probably about 60, maybe about 50% of our blocks comes from a Tumble Tree Timber brand, which is a compatible log, similar to Lincoln Logs, but it's just a different brand, a different company. And so I do want to send some photos to my guy over there in the States who I work with to get a wholesale order shipped over here, just to show him what we've been doing over the last 2 years and putting some pretty large orders. But also the white logs, if you see the photos, there's a lot of white colored logs. That comes from a friend of mine whom I found on the internet years ago in Minnesota. He's a woodworker, and he makes logs under the name Clydesdale Cabin, and they're compatible with Lincoln Log and the Tumble Tree Timbers. And he's my go-to source for anything that I need custom made to make a project or a tower work. And so I'm running numbers for our October tower on the blueprints that I made, that I'll be drawing up. And I'm running numbers on the projected block inventory that I need to make it happen. And I'm going to need some specific logs of a certain dimension and cut. And so I'm going to put in an order to him, but he's been a huge supporter of our projects, often sending us a case of logs just for free, just to support the project. What I'd like to do someday is to get him and his family, as well as the previous Guinness World Record holder who set the record for the tallest tower in 2018. I'd like to have them all come over to Guam for a vacation and we collaborate on a project maybe in 2026 or 2027 and just do a collaborative Guinness World Record with all of us. And so the previous record holder, he's in New York City now. He's an architect engineer, and he works right there in a firm on Times Square. And a lot of his projects right now are the ground zero, the rebuilding of the ground zero, also the Hudson Yards area, and some of the other new landmark skyscrapers in Manhattan. So he's got some brilliant ideas.
Well, it sounds amazing. I look at all these things online now. I'm like, I wonder, can they be weight bearing, and how much weight can they actually hold on to? And at some point, the weight of itself's got to be an issue.
Yeah, I just posted a video, a 360 camera video on my Facebook page, and it showed some of the building, but also the demolition. And what I wanted to do is, once we got the tower crumbled down to about 12 to 15 feet in height, that's where I want to start peeling away all the blocks at the bottom of it. I wanted to work my way all the way into the interior core just to see how well that interior core of blocks would hold the weight of the tower above it. And you can see in some of the photos that inner core, and it held remarkably well. Even Brandon, at one point before we collapsed the tower, he crawled through the middle part of the tower and crawled to the other side. So that was the first feat ever for us. But that inner core held remarkably well. So that tells me that we have a very sturdy structure and that we could build feasibly higher. I think if I were to do this tower again, it would be expanded a little bit bigger by base and height. I would probably add another 2 inner columns that would be weight bearing, because I saw some areas that were carrying a lot of weight that I think we could reinforce that.
I'm looking at a picture right now. I actually saw this one before, and I thought maybe, no, it can't be. It can't be. Did you actually climb up the tower?
That was Photoshop. Somebody did a great job with that.
I was looking. I'm like, I didn't know if that was possible. It wouldn't pull it down or something. I'm just like, this is incredible. And whoever photoshopped it did a great job with the lighting too.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I would love to try that someday. I'm sure that once I grabbed hold of several blocks, if I were to climb it, it would probably yank right out. But if the weight's strong enough, it's going to keep so much downward push through the blocks that would be some effort to pull those blocks out. So someday I might be crazy enough to try that.
Jeez. At some point, I'm like, is the risk worth the reward on that? I mean, it would be cool. Getting down also sounds like it would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, that's so true.
By the way, there's a plane on there. What plane is that?
That was Philippine Air. They were a sponsor for the 36th anniversary of the mall. So we put their plane up there right across the heart of the tower, and they were right above the Great National Insurance Underwriters Company, whom they've been a big supporter of our project since 2022. And so we had them over there for some photo shoots. And they're just such great community partners to support our projects and also supporting the community for a good cause. And so I do want to give a shout out to Great National Insurance here on Guam, but also the Philippine Airlines, the Micronesia Mall, and in the past, Morco Equipment, because they've sponsored in kind the scissor lifts that we use at the Guyana Shopping Center for our project. So it's really a community effort, and to see people coming together from different backgrounds, different companies, organizations, working together, it's just very heartwarming.
Oh, that's just great stuff. All right. Well, now that I have talked to you about this for a million years, I could keep talking about it, but I know let's talk about your first love here. I'm guessing, I don't know, but weather and whether or not we're in good shape over here. We're looking at some of the stuff that you sent out to us the other day, and it said that there's a storm that's brewing, but it's way northwest of us.
Correct. And so we are watching a lot of tropical weather activity, but as we've been saying the last couple of weeks, it's all well to our north. And so we're looking at Tropical Storm Ampil. That's up in the northern Philippine Sea, well north of Saipan and close to the Japanese islands, Iwo, To, and some of those nearby islands. That's going to be going more northward. If you're planning to travel to Japan this weekend, stay tuned to the forecast, because that Tropical Storm Ampil could be reaching close to Tokyo, just offshore to the east, or closer Friday and Saturday. So again, if you're traveling to Japan Friday, Saturday, check the local forecast, because it could be a typhoon in the vicinity. Hopefully it will stay offshore, but it could drift closer. We'll have to watch those forecast tracks next couple of days for this weekend. There are no tropical weather threats for the CNMI at this time. It looks like we're in a pretty good pattern. We've had this ridge south of that large monsoon gyre in the northern Philippine Sea. That gyre has been spinning up all kinds of tropical weather action up there, disturbances and tropical cyclones. We had 4 active tropical cyclones in that larger gyre region to our north. No threats for us in the CNMI or even in central and eastern Micronesia. That's the good news. We are seeing a little bit of an end to the dry pattern we've seen the last couple of days. We have a surface trough pushing through the Mariana Islands, primarily near and south of Guam, where most of the showers are. A little bit drier across Saipan and Tinian. But we're going to probably get more into a trade wind pattern this weekend and earlier next week, where we could see more atmospheric moisture and more of a humid weather pattern across the region, more seasonable for this time of year.
Well, it's not been too bad for us. I mean, I can tell you just from the little coral road that I got to get to leaving my house, it's just wet enough to keep it from being all dusty, and I'll take it. That's not so bad.
Absolutely.
And we've got our playoffs starting for our Saipan Baseball League. They're going to start next week, and that's what everybody's going to be wondering about here. We got the top 7 teams advance, but the top 6, the top team has the first game off, the first round off. They get a bye. And then so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are the big games that are happening next week. I know it's a little far out, but can you tell us a little bit about what you think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is going to look like for us?
Yeah, definitely it's not looking bad. There's no significant weather features or any kind of a perceived threat that would be coming through our region. But again, we might see a little bit more of a moist trade wind pattern setting up across the region, with the ITCZ emerging next week across eastern Micronesia. But just as typical for CNMI weather this time of year, have a hat, some sunglasses, and an umbrella handy, because you'll probably need all of those for the duration of a time at the baseball park.
Well, that sounds great. Well, most of the games will be at night, so some of their futures are bright enough they got to wear shades.
Yeah. So again, keep those umbrellas handy because the showers, again, they'll probably be more passing and spotty in nature versus the widespread deluge. I don't see any potential for that at the time, but we'll be watching for things as things change and emerge in the next week or so.
You know, we are watching a lot of the. Is it just we don't follow the weather as closely as you do, and I'm guessing you've got more than a passing interest in what's happening all around the world. But are the patterns getting a little more extreme, or is there a lot more water that's falling down on folks right now? I saw something about a crazy ice storm or a hailstorm in Alberta just a little recently.
Yeah, those are some of the trends that are anticipated with the warming and changing climate. And so the problem is with a warmer climate, you have more evaporation of the ocean surfaces. And so these storm systems can pack a whole lot more moisture in the atmosphere. And the big concern with tropical cyclones is even though some of the trends with climate change favor fewer cyclones for our region, the ones that do develop could become more intense, more rapid intensification, but also slower, more erratic moving, where they can dump significant amounts of rainfall. And so for us in the islands, it's not necessarily all that bad because we deal with high rainfall rates that can cause flash floods. They flush out and then it's over in a matter of hours or half a day. But in the States, that's a big problem where the water just pile up and it takes days for the drainage to happen, causing significant flooding, especially we have stuff like Hurricane Harvey several years ago that brought catastrophic flooding to Houston. It just dumped several feet of rainfall over the Houston metro area in a very short period of time. And so that's one of the trends we have to look out for with these storm systems. And again, for this region where the rainfall is the drinking water for many of our island neighbors, we do want that rainfall to continue. But if you have too much rain in too short a time, that does cause problems. So this is where we have to focus about things about mitigation, resiliency, water collection, because there's going to be some variations in rainfall. Drier seasons could have drier periods and wet seasons could have more deluge. And so we're always talking about mitigation, reducing your risks and vulnerabilities and mitigating your vulnerabilities to natural disasters.
All right. Well, thanks so much for all that, Atlantic. And am I asking for insider trading info? I got a question. I look at their weather report every single day. And how do you calculate 30% to 40% for the chance of rain?
That's the billion-dollar question with forecasts. We say, oh, you got a 30% chance of showers. And people say, well, if I had a shower over my house, it's 100%, isn't it? But the way we look at the percentages here is that at any given time, the radar imagery is about 30% coverage of showers. So in a 30% day, realistically, everybody's going to see a shower come passing by over their head, maybe several times. If you have a 10% chance of showers, maybe not everybody's going to feel it, but there's going to be some showers out there.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Well, how about picking the difference between 30 and 40? Am I drilling too deep? It's okay.
Well, it depends on where you are. Southern Saipan might say, no, it felt like a 20% day, but Northern Saipan could say, no, it felt like a 60% day. And, it varies. And so that's why I like to stay away from those percentages to say, hey, it's going to be spotty showers. Not everybody's going to get it. It's not going to be everywhere all the time, but you might see a shower too. And so it's focused on those impacts. What are people going to see? What are they going to feel? What are they going to experience?
Well, whatever percentage it is, we're 100% happy that you get to come on the show and talk to us about this kind of stuff. Hey, thanks so much, Landon, for joining us today. And we look forward to find out more about the next projects and hopefully talk to you next week about what's going on then.
Yeah, and I'm going to send you a picture right now of my next project that I'm working up the numbers and the blueprints for. So that's going to be the next one coming up October 1. So stand by for a lot more information on that soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Landon.
Absolutely.
All right. That's Landon Aidlet from the National Weather Service. He is the meteorologist who keeps us up to date with everything that's happening in the Marianas. And he's also building great things and making great things happen over there in Guam and generating a lot of excitement with all the cool things happening. So we'll check in with you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to take a real quick break. And when we come back, We're gonna talk some more about what's going on with Managaha, but again, everything else that's happening, because there's a lot happening in the CNMI. So we'll be back with more for you after this.
Player number 14,
It's a great day to be up 3-0. I'll tell you that. It probably is not great to be down.
I'm Brad Rosala, and I'm the owner for Commonwealth Communications.
And I am Jojo Alipuzu. I am the owner of Island Image and Ocean.
And this is our joint venture, Sideline Studios. This whole concept that we have of doing all these live stream productions and covering news and doing live shows and everything, it wouldn't happen if we didn't have a great partner like IT&E, someone who can handle the bandwidth and provide it and then get us what we need when we need it, and then be a real partner for us for all the events, whether we're doing live sporting events, broadcasts. All of these things happen because of our partnership with IT&E.
With IT&E providing us with the fiber and point-to-point and even the MBRs, is just a great piece of equipment to use when we're broadcasting our sports, our events, our performances, especially our cultural performances. And it's just great to share our culture here in the Marianas with the world. And IT&E has been there from the get-go.
The thing I like best about working with IT&E is how willing they are to come out and find a solution. Even for Liberation Day, we thought we had a pretty good solution for our live stream setup, and it turns out that we did not have the right setup that we thought we needed. That day, just before the parade, reached out to Paul and said, here's our situation. What do you think? He's like, we're gonna figure this out. While he's sitting there barbecuing, getting ready for the parade to start, he starts burning up the phone lines, calling everybody in IT&E, what can we do, what's the right solution? They left their families to do this stuff and get us the equipment that we needed to broadcast live. That's over and above. That's on a holiday. That's when he was out there spending time with his family.
That's why IT&E is just the best, just really in touch with the people and the community.
I recommend IT&E to everybody. Tell them the options are there, and you can choose whoever you want and then figure out what you think is the best. But when you're ready, when you're tired of having your calls disconnected or not having service, then you reach out to the guys from IT&E.
For every generation, it has started with the call to serve. Discovering the purpose and the belonging earned with the title. Learning to dig deep and push through adversity together. Defending our nation and its people. It is a life of great worth and reward. But Marines are never really finished serving. Their commitment comes full circle, visible in communities across our country. This is Semper Fidelis, always faithful, always Marine, marking a path for the next generation.
I'm Haya Pinjwani. President Joe Biden is using his final months in office to tend to some of the top policy goals closest to his heart. The president announced $150 million in awards from the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, supporting 8 research teams around the country, working on ways to help surgeons more successfully remove tumors. An ex-police chief who led a raid on a newspaper has been charged.
A former Central Kansas police chief has been charged with obstruction of justice following last year's raid on a weekly newspaper. Former Marion Police Chief Gideon Cody is accused of knowingly or intentionally influencing a potential witness for an investigation to withhold information from authorities. Cody led a raid last year of the Marion County Record and the home of its publisher. He justified the raid by saying he had evidence the newspaper, its publisher, and one of its reporters committed identity theft or other computer crimes. In verifying the authenticity of a copy of a business owner's state driving record provided to the newspaper by an acquaintance. The records showed that she had potentially driven without a valid license for years. The prosecutor's report concluded no crime was committed and that Cody reached an erroneous conclusion because of a poor investigation. I'm Mike Hempen.
National Hurricane Center specialist Andrew Hagan says Tropical Storm Ernesto could mean dangerous beach conditions from the southeastern coast of the U.S. through the northeast.
We don't expect Ernesto to have any direct impact on the continental U.S. because it is forecast to turn northward towards the general direction of Bermuda. But it is going to be producing large swells that will affect the beaches. So any beach goers that go in the water later this week and all the way through next weekend, could have some pretty strong rip currents.
This is AP News. Economic reports gave Wall Street a big boost.
Wall Street rallied to one of its best gains of the year after a closely watched report on inflation came in better than expected. The S&P 500 jumped 1.7% Tuesday. That's the third best gain for the index so far this year. The Dow rose 408 points. It's about 1%. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 2.4%. Starbucks soared more than 24% after naming Brian Niccol, the head of Chipotle, as its new CEO. Chipotle gave back 7.5%. Treasury yields eased in the bond market. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note fell to 3.85%. This week brings another report on inflation and one on retail sales. Seth Sutel, New York.
Maryland Representative Steny Hoyer, the former House Democratic leader, is recovering after experiencing a mild stroke on Sunday. Hoyer's spokesperson says the 85-year-old sought medical help, responded well to treatment, and has not had any lasting symptoms from the stroke. I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
All right, we are back on the show, and we just got a phone call came in, and somebody is waiting on hold for us. So let's find out who we've got on hold while we keep them holding on. Hey, good morning. Thanks for tuning in to Good Morning Marianas. This is Brad. Who's this?
Yeah, good morning, Brad. This is Piling.
Hey, Piling. Thanks for calling.
Calling in from Guam. Yeah, I just want to share some concerns or a comment.
Yes, sir.
If I can say it about DPL.
Yes,
please. I think that DPL are public land landlords. They have too much power, Brad. What they need to revise and change of rules is they need to change themselves there too. Because even to give out a homestead, you have to go to the department. They call people in to come and pick your raffle. They should do that publicly. They should do it at multi-purpose where they call everybody to come and put a raffle. Because we never know what's going on in that department.
Yeah, is that how they do it?
We never know what's going on in that department. It's the same thing with what happened to Best Sunshine. That land, that public land. They have too much power. They just gave it away. They gave it to ICI to build the casino on top of our ancient elders. That's an ancient great site. But nobody can overrule them because they have too much power. The power is in them, the government. It's the same thing with the Marianas Public Land Trust. That money, they say that money belongs to the people. But are the people benefiting from that money? Never. It's always going to cover the government side. When they mess up, touching the general funds or they abuse it, then they go to Marianas Public Land Trust and they ask for money, the people's money. That's what they say. The money belongs to the people, but the people never try that money. It always go back to the abusers in the government. That's the issue with of public land and the audacity. You can research on the Representative Pangilinan Manglonia or Rota, where the government went in and built the Northern Marianas College. They bulldozer my great grandfather's land. They were the big boss. They came in there and destroyed the land. And then when the family took them to court, and the family won at court, and the court said the value of that land is 35 million, but the government again has the power. They have the final word. No, we're not going to pay you 35 million. It's enough. The family waited over 15 years after they won it at court. And they waited, and they waited until the government is like almost bankrupt. Oh, I'm sorry. We cannot pay you that much money, but we can settle this at 1.3 million. That is stupid. That is stupid on our government side and our leaders. It's the same way they abuse that ancient grave site on ITI. That's the same way they abused my great-grandfather, Crescencio Pangilinan Manglonia. And they know that name. That name is very popular. Thank you, Brad. And I hope they're listening.
Well,
have a good day, brother.
Hey, thank you, too. Thanks for calling in and sharing about that. You know, that's a really good thing. That's a great idea. Now, I've never been there, or I've heard about the homestead program, but I didn't know it was like a lottery. And if that ends up being the thing, that's a great idea about making that a big open public thing. That if they do that already, great. I just haven't seen it. So no digs on them. But if they did that, nothing would prevent that from happening. I love that idea, and I'm sure the people would get excited about it too. You'd be able to see that it's fair and that it's open, and everybody could really see what's happening with that. So that's pretty cool. That's a great idea. I love that idea. We'll help them. I mean, we would definitely be there for it, for sure. And we'd figure out if they want to pay us for it. I mean, we'd take it for sure. But as far as doing it, like, I think that would be really cool. And it wouldn't be hard for us to do because that's what we do. They don't have to learn how to do all this stuff. We already do it. So if that's how they end up giving out those public lands, like for the homesteads, if it's like a lottery, then yeah, let's do it. We'll cover that stuff for sure. Ann, are you still there? I found out an answer to your question. In the meantime, Peeling, thank you so much for calling in and sharing that. Really appreciate it. That was a great call. But Ann asked earlier in the show, by the way, going all the way back, I'm scrolling back. She was saying, hey, how are the seats per precinct determined? So there's a website called Ballotpedia, and I've heard of it, but I wasn't looking for it until I was looking for the answer to your question. And according to that, you know, it says that, where is it? The exact number was in the thing that made me click on it, about each one. Where is it? How many people? So I know it's all based on the census, and it's based on the number of people that are getting into it. But the big thing is, where was it? The one that brought me over there. It said each member of the House of Representatives for the CNMI represents an average of 2,366 residents as of the 2020 census. So there you go. Nobody's subject to any term limits, and that's it. Let me scroll all the way down just to see if anybody else has newer comments. There you go. All right, so that's it. It's based on about 2,633 is on average what each one of the representatives represent. I hope that answers your question. According to that, it'd be great to hear more about it. And, you know, every time we have a new census, that's where the new determining factor should be for how many representatives we have, because we ended up ticking up, a few years ago. And time went by so fast. I bet it was like 10 years ago. But it certainly seems like we are in a downward trend population-wise. If we continue on this, by the time we have the next census in 2030, that we would be dropping down quite a bit again. Here, let's see. Is that the pre-election? Wow. So this is really interesting. So this website even has, like, you guys were talking about, like, all the earlier in the show about how many Republican candidates, how many Democrats, and all that stuff. Well, before the 2020 election, there were 3 Democrats, there were 13 Republicans, 3 independents, and the 1 vacancy, and that was from Precinct 3 when You can't comment on YouTube? Really? Hold on. Maybe it's just you, Tobot. Are you in YouTube, Joe? Ha fa. All right, we got another call. That ringtone's not as great, though. Off today. Oh, hey, good morning. Thanks. You're tuned in to... Oh, geez, I'm hearing a little feedback there. All right, there it is. Hey, good morning. You're on Good Morning Marianas. Who's this?
Hey, good morning, Brad. This is Ray Kittigo. How are you, brother?
Hey, Ray. Good morning. How are you?
I'm feeling good. I just want to throw in something in regards to what Cipollini was saying about MPLT.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the issue that I have with the current law in regards to that. Like he was saying, we, the Tautotano, we own the money. So I hope the trustees are listening in to this question that I'm going to throw out. And I hope maybe we can follow on with this. But if the government, the state, I mean, can be entertained and they can use the land that I and even Singh and the rest of the Tautotano that we own, all public land. How come that the government have the access to use my land to collateral for the state benefit? But let me ask this question to all trustees listening in. How do I, as a beneficial heir to all public land, how can I avail to borrow my own money, my own dividends, to pursue, to open a business in regards to that? Because if you're going to look at it, I have the asset, right? But why can't I use that asset to borrow? That's my question.
That is an interesting question. How about that? Someone that's got a bigger brain than me is going to have to dig into that one. But that's a really good question about like how you can take advantage of it. But like you said, it's a public land, right? So how could you leverage it? If they're able to leverage it, how come you can't leverage it?
Yes, that's my point. Why is the only? I believe the MPLC trustees are biased in the decision making because why would you then treat me as an heir, but yet treat me that in that approach and deny any Tautotano to use our own dividends, but yet they can spoil and give it away for years to any administration when they need and they call them. This issue needs to be addressed in the proper quorum, and I believe the recourse to this is we have to go to the Supreme Court.
Is that something where they're able to do? Has that happened before, though? Are there other folks who are able to?
Well, this is. I do not know if this was ever brought in the past or previous administration, but I don't mind bringing it up in this time. Why? Because it's way overdue. People, I mean, why are we going to keep talking about it, but yet nobody wants to take the leap of faith and step towards the Supreme Court and let the court make the decision? But merely, I believe that people would have some kind of commotion in the process if this were to go left instead of going right. Because, like Joe stated, that's our money. And if it's our money, why can't I avail to it?
Well, that's interesting. So I'm looking at here. I'll pull this up too. I just popped up the Citizen Centric report for MPLT, and this one is going to be their. This other one is from their website. The other one's from Public Auditor, and I wonder if this falls under one of the FAQs. So it says, "What is the function and purpose of MPLT?" So, let's see what this says. It says that the Marianas Public Land Trust functions to manage the funds it receives from the Marianas Public Lands Corporation or its successor entities of the lease of public lands. Okay, so that's how they get their money. What's the function of that one? Let's see, MPLC, that's the Public Lands Corporation and its successor entities, MPLA and DPL. Function to administer the Commonwealth's public lands for development, homesteading, and land use planning. It functions as a constitutional trust to receive money as a trustee for the people of the Commonwealth who are of Northern Marianas descent.
there's the word, the magic word, trust and trustees.
Mm-hmm. And
that is a word that they should really try to promulgate and understand the meaning to the role as trustees to a trust.
Well, and let's talk about this. This is some other. You were talking about like where the money goes and stuff, but like the Commonwealth. It says number 5 on this is how does the MPLT benefit the Commonwealth? Commonwealth is benefited in several ways. First, the trust has 2 income beneficiaries. They are the Commonwealth General Fund and the American Memorial Park. These beneficiaries are established in the Constitution and the Covenant. As of September 30th, 2006, the trust, since inception, has distributed a total of $35.5 million to the Commonwealth General Fund and over $4 million to American Memorial Park. Second, the trust has grown the original principal contributions of almost $27 million to the current value of just over $68 million. And this is a 2.5 times multiplier has been done while distributing its income each year. Well, that still doesn't answer your question. Let's see. But maybe this one. They've got to, and basically just trying to work on some of the stuff they were talking about, where it said like, how are their decisions made or what are the guidelines? And they do invest in different things. Well, I wonder why they wouldn't invest in like local businesses.
Because, like I said, there's what they call an alternative investment, and in that is where I want to throw in that I believe it would benefit the entire Sinai, Saipan, Tinian, and Rota, and possibly in the future include Guam. That ferry service that I was bringing out on social media. Imagine that we have a ferry service just like the one in Washington State, where instead of paying an airplane ticket for a 10-minute ride from Saipan to Rota, Tinian for $50 one way, $50 back, that's $100. Now imagine if there was a ferry service of pay $100 round trip, and you can take all your family here, or to Rota, or vice versa. We can all travel, and the thing behind this is that it's a local domestic commerce. Money is floating within the city mine, and people, the goods like in Rota, people can come here in Saipan. Everything is still staying here in the city mine, generated. And that is something I'm looking forward, hopefully in this election that I happen to be, hopefully to be elected. That is one of the things in my platform is to look into how we, the people, can benefit economically, domestically here in the city.
Yeah, I saw that. Hold on, let me pull this up just 1 second here. I'm scrolling through. Hold on, I'm scrolling through. And of course, it's not going as fast as I want when I'm looking at it. But I saw your name on there that you were running.
Yes, I am. I'm as a matter of fact, I was called by the Board of Elections just to be informed I was officially last Thursday. Thursday, the day after I was I think on the 8th or 9th. I got a phone call before 11:30, and yes, I was confirmed I'm in the race for one of the seats, and I hope I get the seat there.
Yeah, you're in Precinct 1. You're going as an independent. Yeah. I got on the screen now, and I was wondering if I got the right guy on there. I'm like, is that? Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's Edwin Raymond. Yeah, my first name, legal. Well, the Social Security had made a big mistake. They put my second name as my first, but my passport says Raymond Edwin, and then Social Security says Edwin Raymond. So I just stuck to the Edwin Raymond because there was a lot of issues to change it with the Social Security, so I just left it there.
Well, you're on there, and are there 6 seats for Precinct 1?
Yes, 6, but there's 11, I believe, running for 6 seats.
Wow, I mean that's massive. So Roy Atta, I know he's running again. Cobre Aldon, he's running again. So those are 2 who are in there. Yeah. Who else? You got Roman Beneventi, Diego Camacho. He's incumbent too. Carmen De Leon Guerrero, Joe Flores.
No, that's a new one. The current side that are sitting for 6 is Pope and Flores. So yeah, there's an additional 5 of us.
Oh,
and
Janet Maritita is coming back again. Benusto Pittig. And we've got you, Ray Palacios, and Yvette Pangilinan. I didn't ask him if that's, I see him at baseball all the time. I didn't ask if that's Ray Palacios, like the baseball Ray Palacios. I don't know. Is that the same one? He ran before.
I really don't know. But we were talking last night. He goes, hey, they should the slogan, since Ray's running independent like you, so for preaching one, better go like this. 2 Rays are better than 1 for preaching 1.
Nice. I like it. 2 rays of hope.
But anyway, thank you, Brad, for your time, and I hope this trustee will be listening to your news service to really understand the question I threw out, because it does, in my perspective, it does need to be addressed to the court, and for the court to levy and raise what is written. And again, I want to put emphasis on the word trustee and trustees. That should be an emphasizing word for them to understand what's going on. But anyway, thank you, brother. Have a day, and more to you.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, it is 8:37. We're talking about all kinds of things going on here between talk about the weather, talk about public lands and quite a bit, and then talk about things like with another candidate who's just on right now. He's been on the show. He's called the show a few times, too. And that's not a bad opportunity to remind you that, the phone lines are open, and that the number is 789-2323. The baseball Rays from CK. This Ray is running from San Antonio. Thank you, Piling. Yeah, I know. Like, that's what the thing is. Like, I remember. So Ray Palacios had been in office before. Our baseball Ray. We'll just call him baseball Ray. And I know he's a CK guy because I used to go to their house all the time when I was with the Tribune to get all the sports scores from him and his dad for Saipan Major League back then, SML. And yeah, it's good stuff. And I know he's a Precinct 2 guy. So this is a different Ray running from San Antonio. Okay, cool. I thought maybe he might have moved out of the old the family house over there. Maybe he's got a different spot. Nope. Okay, different Ray going for Precinct 1. All right. Well, good stuff so far. Man, I'll tell you what, Tobot, you're unable to comment on the YouTube TV screen. I'm sorry about that, man. I have no idea what's going on. I just put, earlier, I just tried putting something in the comments and it worked. So, man, I don't know what's going on. So, anyway, we got some folks coming in here at 9 o'clock today. Won't be part of the show, but they might be part of the show. What are you talking about? Well, they're coming in to talk about some advertising stuff. So you could do that too if you're interested in getting some real good exposure for your business or for your organization, anything that's going on. And it's cool because I'll tell you what, I have been flipping out by looking at all the numbers that we are getting and the amount of people who are watching our program and the people who are watching it throughout the day. Now, not everybody watches it live because just not everyone can make that time frame. But holy cow, I'm telling you, by like 10 o'clock, we got like over 1,000 people watching this stuff. And this is just for our regular show. And so folks are reaching out to us now and saying, hey, what can we do to be a part of you? So I'm really looking forward to it. Speaking of being a part of you, one thing I could definitely tell you about is how happy we are that we've got Team Blue for sure, because Team Blue is what brings us all of the bandwidth that we need to bring this show to you, whether we're here in the studio, whether we're out there in the field, whether we're covering sports, whether we're doing the live broadcasts at the election hall or at the parade or the public meetings. We wouldn't be able to do any of that stuff if we didn't have a great partner for telecommunications, and we have found one, our soulmates in IT&E. They have been there for us literally since day one, and they're with us every day, because that's how we're able to bring this stuff to you. Now, you might have your own provider, and that's fine, and if you're happy with them, that's great, but you should always think about supporting some of our sponsors for sure. It's choice is completely up to you, but when
the chips are down, we always lean to Team Blue when it comes to telecommunications. So you could be part of that team with us and let us know what's going on. Anyway, we are going to take a real quick break because there has been, we already gave you that one, but we'll end up giving you sports. We're going to wrap, though, today at 9 o'clock, like pretty much on the button, because that's when we're going to have that meeting come in and deal with all this stuff. But, hey, look, there's a picture of me in the paper today. I'm with the local news section, the Marine Sports Business story, the one that we talked about, the one we broadcasted yesterday, and then the one that we talked about at length today with Public Lands. There's a picture of me with my little stand-up camera in front of a whole bunch of the folks who were doing that. In fact, I remember that moment because I was reading one of the comments that were submitted by one of the vendors who was out there. He handed it to me, and I was reading it off to you guys. So, man, just wild stuff. This is a heck of an adventure doing this stuff. Isn't it cool? I mean, we get to do sports, news, weather, all kinds of community events and all that stuff. We get to do all that stuff together. It's a wild ride. I'm loving that we're doing this. All right, we're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we'll have some AP sports for you. Went to press the wrong button there for a second. But first of all, I want to remind you about a fundraiser that's taking place for the Saipan Paddling Club. It's going to be on the 24th, but you can get your raffle tickets from them today. Just reach out to the Saipan Paddling Club on Facebook, and here's a little bit more. It would help if I gave you a little bit more volume. Alpha Dade's on Tiro, and for the Saipan Paddling Club, it's time to row their boat for the 2024 Micro Cup. And you can get on board with their raffle fundraiser on Saturday, August 24th. Tickets are just $1, and the grand prize is $200. All proceeds go to get the paddlers to the Micro Cup and help get them uniforms so they represent the CNMI in style. So support your local paddlers and buy a bunch of raffle tickets for your chance to win the $200 grand prize. Just go to the Saipan Paddling Club Facebook page for more information. That's the Saipan Paddling Club raffle fundraiser on Saturday, August 24th at 3 p.m. Don't be a drip. Help with their trip.
AP Sports, I'm Bruce Morton. College football, the Associated Press preseason top 25 is out, and it is jam-packed with familiar names. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh has more.
Georgia is number 1 in the Associated Press preseason college football poll for the second straight year. The Bulldogs received 46 first-place votes to finish comfortably ahead of number 2 Ohio State, which got 15 top votes. Oregon is number 3, while Texas is 4th and Alabama is 5th. Conference realignment created an unprecedented preseason poll with just 4 conferences represented. The SEC has 9 ranked teams, the Big Ten has 6, the Big 12 has 5, and the ACC 4. Notre Dame, an independent, is ranked 7th.
Olympics, USA Gymnastics with bad news for Jordan Chiles. Officials say an arbitration panel will not reconsider its decision, forcing Biles to return the bronze medal she was awarded in the floor exercise at the Paris Games. At issue was the timing of an on-floor appeal from Chiles's coach that vaulted her to 3rd place, an appeal voided by the panel. Back with baseball and more after this. Baseball, this year's All-Star Game MVP faces disciplinary action. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh provides details.
The Boston Red Sox have suspended outfielder Jarren Duran for 2 games without pay after he shouted a homophobic slur to a fan behind home plate who heckled him in a loss to the Houston Astros. The exchange that was caught on a live mic Sunday during the broadcast of the game occurred when Duran was at the plate in the 6th inning. Duran issued an apology through the team Sunday night and again in the clubhouse Monday.
I've had some fans reach out to me and tell me that they're disappointed in me, and I just wanted to let them know that I'm sorry for my actions and that I'm going to work on being better for them.
The Red Sox said Duran's salary during the suspension will be donated to the Federation of Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays.
On the field, things went a bit better for the Bo Sox as they walked off the Rangers 5-4 on a 10th inning base hit by Rob Refsnyder.
We're pretty banged up right now, so
A lot of our bench guys have had to play a little bit more. Our bullpens had to step up, throw multiple innings. So it was a really, really good team win, and we really needed it. We had that tough little stretch right there.
Meanwhile, virtually nobody saw this coming. The Yankees got squished 12-2 by the big league's worst team, the White Sox. The Bronx Bombers' Alex Verdugo said despite the lopsided score, his team had plenty of opportunities to change the score.
When it came down to it, those guys made their pitches and, was able to, get us to pop up in the infield or, roll one over and double play. So really, I think we did a good job early of getting guys on, but obviously didn't get the big hit.
In Tampa Bay, the Astros continued to surge. Correspondent Steve Carney files this report.
Framber Valdez earns his 12th win, and Alex Bregman and Yainer Diaz each homer as the Astros defeat the Tampa Bay Rays 6-1. Bregman's solo homer and the first-off Rays starter Taj Bradley gave Houston its initial lead, and Diaz's 3-run blast off Bradley came as part of a 4-run third. Astros manager Joe Espada says he sees his players gelling into one unit.
They all lean on each other, they all believe in one another, and we all know how to turn the page together and pick each other up, and credit to a group of players that they just know how to win.
Valdez pitched into the sixth, allowing just a run on 3 hits and striking out 9. The Astros improved their current winning streak to 6 games, while the Rays fall back to 500 at 59-59.
The remainder of the American League Monday card had the Twins topping the Royals 8-3, and the Blue Jays beat the Angels 4-2. In the National League, it was a battle of division leaders when the Brewers hosted the Dodgers. Correspondent Chuck Freeman tells the story.
Mookie Betts made his presence felt in his first game off the injured list, and the Dodgers rolled by the Brewers 5-2. Betts homered after nearly a 2-month absence with a fractured hand. He also delivered an RBI single. Then there was Clayton Kershaw. The Dodgers starter got his first win of the year after spending most of it on the injured list. Kershaw pitched into the 6th inning, struck out 6. Kershaw says the Dodgers are getting healthy.
We're getting some guys back. We're getting our lineup the way we wanted to. We're getting, some guys starter-wise, reliever-wise, everything. We're having a lot of we're having our team look like what we want our team to look like, and I think you'll see us kind of start to take off here pretty soon.
Shohei Ohtani also homered for the Dodgers. Freddie Peralta took the loss for the Brewers.
In other National League play, the Reds shut down the Cardinals 6-1. The Padres got past the Pirates 2-1. It was the Diamondbacks 5 and the Rockies 4. And in 10 innings, the Braves defeated the Giants 1-0. In that game, San Francisco starter Blake Snell took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. This after he threw a complete game no-hitter on August 2nd. In Monday's only interleague game, the Guardians pushed across a run in the bottom of the 8th to get by the Cubs 5-4. WNBA Los Angeles Sparks all-star Derica Hamby sued the league and her former team Monday regarding her treatment from the Las Vegas Aces while pregnant. The lawsuit alleged the Aces discriminated and retaliated against her, leading to her January 2023 trade to the Sparks. Bruce Morton, AP Sports.
All right, we're back here. It is 8:49 in the a.m. and sunny, kind of rainy, but sunny again, Saipan. And that's what we're going to be dealing with for the next few days anyway. At least that's what we heard from Mr. Weather himself, Landon Alet. National Weather Service out of Guam gave us a heads up. Said, hey, you're probably going to get some rain. Don't feel so bad about it. But there is a 40% chance of precipitation today. However you pronounce it, precipitation. Scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, partly sunny skies with a high near 88. Well, we're sitting at 86 right now, so expect that to continue. At least the humidity is at 75% up at the airport. That's pretty nice. It's going to be a little windy today. Southeast winds from 9 to 14 miles per hour, so that's an interesting direction too. Kind of the opposite. That's when I smell the pig farm from the neighbors 2 houses down. Why do they have a piggery at their house? It's not a full-on piggery. It's really just like a couple of pigs. But man, those guys don't clean up after themselves. I'll tell you. One of these days, Alice. One of these days. There's got to be something about that, by the way. So my neighbor who lives right next door to them, they got it so bad. At least I only have it when the wind blows in the opposite direction, right? So, but when it doesn't, that's, oh man, it's fine for me. And, but I'll tell you, it's just really funny to see how these things work out. Hey, good morning. Welcome. Thanks for popping in. Well, we're about 10 minutes away from wrapping everything up. We just had a couple of special folks make their way into the studio, and we're looking forward to talking to them here in just a little bit. They're watching everything happen in action. It's like they're peeking behind the curtain, and nobody's telling them pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. It's a weird Wizard of Oz thing going on right now. Anyway, that's what our weather's going to be like throughout the day today. And in about 9 minutes, we'll get the latest update from the Associated Press. We'll throw that to you before we officially call it a day, but not too shabby. We'll give you the absolute latest. And Tobot, what is going on with all those tint jobs, man? I'll tell you what, I need to get down there and show you this thing. I know you're working like crazy, but I want to show you this van and see what you're able to do with it. And I'll tell you, that's the thing about the power of this little show that we got, right? And the community that we're building up with this whole thing is about getting like folks together, different businesses and all that. And it becomes, it's cooler. Like I got this new little hangout group that I didn't have before with a bunch of folks that I just didn't know before. So anyway, that's why Tobot already is the reason why we have this great tent behind us. And we have the great tent with his donation over at the ballpark, making sure that it's not a million degrees in there when we're setting up for the games on the weeknights. And now the news van of justice, going to get a couple shades darker. It's going to be so dark in there, it's going to look like you can't make your comments on YouTube. Anyway. Want to say thanks to all you guys for tuning in today, and thanks for the phone calls. I mean, that's part of what makes this stuff magic. You guys being able to call in and be a part of this stuff is really, it makes it fun for me, for sure. But it definitely is more interaction, and this is the kind of thing that we could do. And a reminder too to keep your imagination open, because you don't just have to call in or send a message, which you can, of course, always. But you could send us a video greeting. You got somebody you want to give a video greeting for their birthday, for their big accomplishment, maybe their graduation, you name it. We could do all that stuff for you. It doesn't cost you a nickel. We're just doing it for fun. It's just the same way you would do it normally, like for a radio show or something. But this one, you can actually do the video. Hey, keep it clean, Tobot. Don't do anything crazy. Let's not get crazy. Hey, we did mention that, this is the 80th year, the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Saipan. And today is Navajo Code Talkers Day. It's not a national or international, but it is a day that's made for the recognition of the Navajo Code Talkers, who helped keep the communication lines open and unbreakable during the Battle of the Pacific. And the reason is because the Japanese could never break that code. The United States was able to crack the Japanese code. And if they weren't able to get all of it, they got a heck of a lot of it. But definitely the Japanese were not able to break the code talkers from the Navajo Nation because they had no reference. By the way, that's a cool story itself. But if that doesn't tell you about, that's part of the power of the United States, right? When people get focused on things like right now saying, we've never been so divided and there's all these issues, and I won't dip into all those heavy things that people are saying in the mainland. What you really need to look back on is what is so profound about the United States. And it's that it's a nation that's made up of so many different cultures and so many different religions, cultures, faiths, backgrounds, nationalities, you name it. And when we were fighting the war of our lives 80 years ago, the battle for our nation, we relied on all the different aspects of our nation to get that to get us through. And we were able to communicate well using the diversity that we've got in our country. How about that? Japan had a cool code, but we knew it was kind of rooted in Japanese language, right? And we were able to figure that out. But that's it. That's just a little piece of it. So if you ever find yourself doubting what the heck's going on with our country and how things are going to end up going, remember our strength is that we've got such a large pool of talent from so many different backgrounds. It's kind of the coolest thing. Anyway, speaking of the coolest thing, our air conditioning is definitely working this morning. We've got some things. We've got it set on probably the coldest setting, but it's we're not exactly sure how this thing's going to work out, because yesterday it was great until it wasn't. And then this morning it's great till it wasn't. The guys from Gree are working on it. They're going to end up coming in and doing some servicing for us. But it kind of looked like it was an icicle making machine yesterday. But at least it works. At least we're not sweating in here and hating it. Anyway, we've only got a couple of minutes left before that new update from the Associated Press hits. So I just want to talk about one of the other things that I was pretty happy to see. Not taking any sides in politics and all that other stuff. But one of the things I thought was really cool is that Elias Rangamar is running for the House of Representatives, and he's running in Precinct 3. And I love it because when I first got out here, I didn't really get to know everybody. But when I switched from my federal job to working at the Saipan Tribune and doing sports, I got to meet everybody. I mean, like everybody from everywhere, just the spectrum of people I got to meet became so broad. And I used to go down to the Ada Gym almost every single day, talk to him and Tony Regolafai, the two guys who were running the place back at that time. And the guys who are running it in there with them and everything. But, you know, I'd see Coach Ellie, he's playing basketball. He's teaching everybody about basketball, and then track and field. He had such a big part of NMA, Northern Marianas Athletics. I think it was Northern Mariana Islands Track and Field Federation before that. And he's done so many things to promote sport. He even was trying out and playing with us with the men's team for soccer. Ellie Rangamar has given so much to the community, and so much of his time is just volunteer too. And he's got that in him. Like, that's who he is, right? Sure, people lean on him and ask him to do all that kind of stuff too, but you don't have to ask very hard because that's part of his passion, and he's done it. It's not something he's not just doing it now because he's running or something like that for office. But now that he's going from being a running coach to a running for office kind of guy, it's great to see him on there. So he's running for Precinct 3, and I would love to have him come on over to the studio and chat him up about it and what made him decide to run. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer for the CNMI Sports Hall of Fame, and this guy just turned 60, but he does not look like a 60-year-old guy. This guy's still fit and strong and awesome. Anyway, I'm fortunate that I've been able to get to know him over the years and, just really form a real appreciation for him and our community. And now to see him run for office is just really cool. That's it. I mean, and there's a lot of names out there of folks who are running. Folks who I've gotten to know and got to meet over the years who are running. And, again, it's a testament to how much one person can do in our community if you're interested in doing it. Like, if you step up and do something in the CNMI, you can have a big impact. I've been saying it for a long time that growing up in New York, I didn't know. Like, I knew who our Erie County executive was, right? I knew who our governor was for the state. That's it. I don't remember the names of any of the mayors of the towns or our councilmen or any of our state representatives for the state legislature. No. Once in a while, I would know a state senator. Once in a while, right? Maybe it's because I'm getting older, I pay attention. No, but I think it's because I'm here. Living in Saipan, you get to know the people who make the laws. You get to know the people who are the cabinet members. You get to know the people who are the heads of state out here and appointing folks for all the different divisions. And because of that, your network can get so big so fast, you can have such a big impact out here. And I that's why I get so excited when I see people who are interested in running to make a difference in their community. They're not looking for a job. They're looking to do something cool, do something for impactful, something meaningful for their community. And man, that's awesome. And the amount of scrutiny you're opening yourself up to when you run. This is one of the reasons why Kathy will not let me ever consider running. One, because, she's not into all that public stuff. But number two, because it's all that stuff, you open yourself up to people, I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy, whatever. She's not into any of that stuff. And you know what? Nobody wants to hear that kind of negative stuff, right? But the folks who are running put themselves out there for the community, and it's really cool. So I wish you luck. All right, hey, we're going to wrap up. I'm just going to play the latest that we've got. It just dropped from the Associated Press. After that, we are going to get out of here and meet with our friends that are out here on the other side of the camera. So this is going to be about 3 minutes long. I'll come back in and just say thank you, and then we'll see you guys a little bit after that. All right, so have a great day. Here, again, is the latest update. Just came out from the Associated Press to keep you up to date with what's happening in the United States and all around the world. Associated Press.
AP News, I'm Haya Panjwani. An Ohio police officer was indicted today on charges including murder in the shooting of Takia Young. The black mother was 21 and pregnant when she was killed by police in a grocery store parking lot last August. At a news conference, Sean Walton, the attorney for Young's family, says Blendon Township police officer Connor Grubb, who has been indicted on 3 charges including murder, should be fired.
He's someone who, based on our investigation, has had some issues in the past with aggression. We believe that he saw time in combat. And, I think officers deserve better than whatever culture is being created over at Blendon Township and other police departments. So he should be terminated. There shouldn't be any internal investigation aside from looking at their own practices and policies and seeing how to make sure that this does not happen again in the future.
AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports on what Tim Walz has to say about his military record.
Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz responded to criticism about his military service from Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance. Vance made the comments last week, shortly after Vice President Kamala Harris picked the Minnesota governor as her running mate.
What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage.
Vance questioned Walz's record and the implication he had served in a combat zone.
When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him.
Speaking to union members in Los Angeles, Walz says he is proud of his service to his country.
You should never denigrate another person's service record. To anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
The campaign says Walz misspoke when he said he carried weapons in a war and did not see combat during his time in the Minnesota National Guard. I'm Ed Donahue.
This is AP News. AP correspondent Julie Walker reports on why both presidential candidates' proposals to end federal taxes on tips would be difficult to enact.
Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris agree on one thing.
No tax on tips. Do we like that?
Eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
But enacting it is another story, says tax expert and Professor James Hines Jr.
It's possible to draft rules. Would it be a mess? Yes.
Both candidates have plans with sparse details. Hines suggesting millions would try to game the system by changing their pay structure.
If we have an exclusion for tips, then we have to distinguish tips from other forms of compensation. And that's extremely difficult.
Many experts say tax-free tips would only give limited help to low-wage workers. Harris also calling for an increase in minimum wage. So far, that's not on Trump's platform.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
All right, folks. Well, that's about going to wrap it up for us. Playoffs for the Saipan Baseball League already scheduled. They're in the books. The Falcons got the first round bye, and now it's just going to be 9 innings of action. That's right. Forget that 7-inning stuff. The Cardinals and the Braves going to open it up next Monday at 6:30. Cardinals and the Braves. Tuesday, Padres and the Blue Jays. And on Wednesday, the Bandits and Sandlot. That is round number 1 for the playoffs. We'll see who advances after that. The Cardinals versus the Braves on Monday. The Padres versus the Blue Jays on Tuesday. The Bandits versus Sandlot on Wednesday. And the Falcons just sitting back to see who is going to play them in the second round of the playoffs. Looking forward to it. Yeah, that's it. We got nothing else this week. Louisa, I don't know what we're doing with our lives either without having baseball this week. It is pleasant for sure, but it's also like, what the heck's going on? What are we going to do? And then we got Masters going to come up after that, which we're going to end up doing too. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's what we got. Thanks to the folks who called in today. Thanks to Landon Aylett from National Weather Service for being our guest again today, too, giving us the latest update on everything that's happening in our region and letting us know that there's nothing scary coming our way, at least now. We'll see if anything gets crazy later. All right, folks, have a great day. School's starting this week for public schools, and for us, we don't have to worry about that. We get up early anyway. We beat all the school buses. All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. for Good Morning Marianas. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff here, Instagram, and on YouTube. Take care. Have a great day.
Good morning, Marianas. So many things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawamian greetings to Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news from a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun on Good Morning, Mariana.